Hi, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us again on Choose Beauty. I am with my good friend and industry leader, Carlos Valenzuela. I've talked to Carlos a lot over the last few months, but we've also talked a lot over the last 7, 8 years because Carlos has been involved in so many different aspects of the industry: school, salon ownership, education, uh, creative direction. And right now we're going to talk about finances because Carlos is launching a new initiative he's calling the Thrifty Cosmetologist. And we're going to talk about finances specifically as it relates to the salon professional, but I want to tell you at the outset, Carlos is offering free financial coaching. So once this interview has been posted live, the first 10 people to email him are going to be able to tap into Carlos's experience and years of financial management smarts. So, Carlos, lovely to see you again.
There could be nothing lovelier than seeing you, Anne. Thank you so much for having me. You look lovely, and I hope you're doing really well out there
I'm,
in California.
oh, thank you, Carlos. I'm doing very well, and it's so good to be back with you. So much has changed. I mean, we've stayed in touch, but probably the last interview we did, most states did not have their salons open yet. So stylists had not gone back to work. But now, as we see these, phase threes and fours happening in states and stylists are back to seeing clients, are they all doing better financially now than they were doing before?
Uh, Not really, frankly. Overall, not really. My peaks in the salon industry really went through a devastating time. I mean, it was very, very difficult, and it cannot be over exaggerated. Now, we're doing better from the standpoint that we've gotten back to work, because I think sitting at home and not making money is worse. And so at least now we're back in the salon. But there still is looming in the horizon this series of payments that are like balloon payments, because many of my my friends that work in the salons, have rent that they are owing for 2, 3 months, car payments, utilities, and many of these are coming due together. So even though we're all working and we thank our clients for coming back, because there was that fear that they weren't going to respond. Well, they responded great, in a great way. But again, we've got to remember, and it's less clients. There's this distancing. There's a little bit more restrictions, and there's still this whole debate about pricing. That should we go up? Should we go down? So it's they're doing better. That's a long-winded answer to your question. We're doing better, I think, as salon professionals, but we still have a long way to go. A long way to go to be at least stable. And some salon professionals, many salons did not reopen. Many salon professionals that I know are just leaving. They're no longer going to be in the beauty industry, which is really sad.
It is sad. And so many were not, so not just salon professionals, but just so many people were not in a position to ride this out, or they didn't have a cushion, they didn't have, something to fall back on.
No.
And, sometimes we talk about artists, or we talk about stylists as artists, as creatives. And do you think that the business side is falling off a little bit, that there maybe are creatives less prone to maybe thinking about themselves as business people and as having a handle on their money?
I Probably, but not overall. I think it's about money management and about understanding your money better. And I think salon professionals in general are like any other industry. There are some salon professionals that are excellent, and there are some salon professionals that are not. Now, having said that, and there's this one thing that pops up a lot in our lifestyle in general, and that is that in order to be creative, we feel we need an environment which a lot supports that creativity. And I have to say that's true. You can't work in a poor environment and come out with really great stuff. It's really challenging. But we seem to make our own rules, and we don't follow the regular rules. And that, as far as hairdressing and our creativity, is such a plus. But it's not so much of a plus when it comes to money rules and how to build wealth. And we have a lot of emphasis in the industry, as it should, as we should have, on how to make money. We have all kinds of management classes, client retention classes, new products coming out, special deals in order for us to make money. And that is great. We should really be focusing on that. But there's a difference between making money and wealth building. And wealth building is about keeping the money that you're making, more of it. And it isn't about just making more and more and more money. And I think this is the conversation that we need to have as an industry, because yes, COVID and the pandemic and the shutdown brought it to the forefront, but it's kind of always been there. And I mean, except emergencies were very individual. We never had like everyone in the salon out of money. Now, all of a sudden, we had everybody on. So I really would love for our industry and our industry leaders to begin to make the connection that I see between the wealth of the salon professional and the success of their own business, their industry. If you're a school, if you're a salon owner, if you are an association, if you are a brand, wouldn't it behoove you to have salon professionals learn to value their money more? And this is a conversation that, I mean, I would love for us to be able to start it industry-wide, but it's very, very important. But it's a difficult one to have.
You know, you offer some perspective on where this, you know, where this challenge begins. And talk about beauty school graduates coming out sometimes with, you know, financial debt, which is, again, like you said, it's not a news story.
It's not a new story, but it's a story that I would like to speak to with salon professionals. And I would like to qualify that by saying that I learned these lessons myself. And I mean, I grew up in Mexico and I had no clue where money came from. I really didn't. And but I did have the ability to generate money. I made so many mistakes and embarrassing mistakes at some point, until I finally surrendered to a coach, to a financial coach, which is my accountant, and took lessons from him and continue to take them from him. But and the reason I tell you that story is because you're asking me, where does this come from? Well, first of all, there's childhood messages that we heard. You know, I don't know what everybody's story is. I mean, I didn't hear bad messages about money. I just didn't hear any. And then there are some that are, you know, very frugal, and some that are live beyond their means, and so on. So you got something there as a salon professional when you were growing up. Then the second thing that influences the lifestyle of salon professionals, and I have done so much research on this, I have talked to so many people, because it really devastates me to think that people are working so hard in our industry, you know, our industry is a tough industry, standing up 8 hours a day, and you need to be able to keep that money. But one thing that happens, and one thing that affects most salon professionals, is that we went to beauty school, and in order to go to beauty school, we had to take out a loan. We graduated from beauty school with now $25,000 to $30,000 loan. And you know what? That's okay. That's what it had to be, and that's how it's done. And you did what you needed to, and cool. But then the next 2 years in the industry, you have no way of really making money. I mean, if you graduated from beauty school and started making money immediately, you are like the exception, because it's going to take you a year or two to build a clientele. So during that time, unfortunately, many of us get more in debt. There's no money, so we're going to just plastic it, put it on a credit card. So this type of living, unfortunately, kind of creates this acceptance of living paycheck to paycheck and living, unfortunately, in debt. And I have to say to anybody listening to me, that is not so. You are not doomed to live paycheck to paycheck, and you should not accept living in debt as your constant. But that's where it kind of originates, these bad habits we practice as we start growing in our career. Then eventually we do have a career, and hopefully at that point, someone, maybe it's Ann and Carlos, can come into your life and say, you know what? I would really love for you to talk to somebody about how to keep more of the money you make.
You know, Carlos, in my introduction to you, I did not mention, because I mentioned all the things you've done, but you were in the salon, as you know, you were there on the floor. You saw how a stylist lives day to day. You are a stylist. And one of the points that you brought up in our early discussion questions was that salon income has traditionally was a second money stream.
Right.
For a couple. So
yeah.
There was not as much pressure.
Yeah. So, the reason there is not the focus it deserves, money management for salon people, is because traditionally it was a female, primarily women that were hairdressers. And if it was a woman, then she was probably married. I mean, I'm talking to you 1960, 1970. She's probably married, and her husband was really the breadwinner. So she was really like bringing in a second income stream. So there wasn't a lot of pressure like perform, because there was other money. It was just maybe this help with the school or groceries or something. And there was no real pressure for it to be super accountable. And that kind of kept moving through the beauty industry. And still today, people do pretty much with their money whatever they want. And I think I would love to see us be able to focus more on the fact that, you've got to have money for emergencies. You've got to have that emergency fund. And COVID and the salon shutdown brought it to the forefront. But if it isn't that, I mean, I don't want to be a doomsayer, but there will probably be another emergency in your life. There will be.
Sure.
But chances are, I mean, it could not be, hopefully, a virus. Maybe it'll be something small. But, and the thing that's difficult, and the reason I want people to, I would love people to come out of the woodwork and start talking about this, is because finances is so personal. Why would I share with anybody that I am, up to my credit card, up to the, here with credit? It's all very personal, and we don't know what's going on. I'll never forget, around the time that I had my intervention with my accountant, I was invited to, I wasn't invited, I was notified that a gentleman that went to beauty school with me passed away. And he had an aneurysm. He was making coffee. Boom, he dropped dead. God bless him. So I thanked the person that was calling me. And I said, well, you know, what are the services and so on? He says, well, what I'm really calling you for is that we are really needing to make a collection for his final services. And I said, oh, okay, well, fine. And I contributed. My point to that is that there was no inkling of any financial strive. This gentleman was, and this is 30 years ago, well-known, a great educator, great clientele. And that's what I fear, that many of my fellow stylists are still working and kind of jumping from bill to bill and not taking care of their finances. And I would love to help them out in any way I can.
That's great, Carlos. We're going to take a quick pause because when we come back, you're going to share a few of the ideas you have for helping them get a better handle on their money. We'll be right back with Carlos Valenzuela. Okay, Carlos. So one of the things that I love, you and I had a little email exchange before we set this up, and one of the things you talked about is until you learn how to manage your money, it won't matter how much money you make, it will never be enough.
Yes.
And
That's
and so I know that you, as you mentioned, you had an intervention. You finally said, I need help. I'm going to put aside whatever was getting in my way before, whatever that was, if it was pride or if you were embarrassed or if you just, I think there's a conception that we should be able to do it on our own. We don't need to, tap into somebody else's expertise. But what can a salon professional do right now? What are some things they could do right now to start being better about managing their income?
one tip that I would give everyone is to just figure out where their money goes. Because, it's crazy, and the way to do it is, that I suggest, is just go online to your bank account, to your checking account. Go online and just figure out, there's needs and wants. Needs is something you gotta have, otherwise you're gonna die. Wants, it would be nice to have. If you could just go through that your last month, or maybe two, and just on a piece of paper write, what did you spend on needs? What did you spend on wants? Figure out where your money went. And when I did that with Larry, that's my accountant, when I did that, I was like shocked. I was shocked at the amount of money I was spending on nonsense, wants. I had this one habit of leaving the salon and stopping at the supermarket. Why? I don't know. I mean, I would stop for cookies, for dinner, for this, for that. And it was like a vacation spot for me, I would go, stop, park, get down, and come out with $10, $12, whatever, worth of something. And when I started seeing, supermarket, well, that's the first thing. Find out where your money's going, and then figure out what it is you need for your 4 basics. Your 4 big basics are shelter, groceries. Notice that I didn't say food. Groceries, utilities, and transportation. And whatever expenses come from that. You got to cover that. And after that, everything is a want. And you just need to realize how badly you want it and how much money you have for it. That's a very important little lesson to learn. Once you do those couple of things, I would say to the majority of hairdressers, I'm going to say that, and I'm going to get in trouble with this, but I get in trouble a lot. I am going to guess that 60 to 70% of salon professionals today are living paycheck to paycheck. But why wouldn't they? Because that's really what the nation is living. Then nationally, on a national basis, about 60% of the people in the United States live paycheck to paycheck. They do not have a way to come up with $500 without borrowing it from some credit. Okay, so that's why this little cute, quick little where does your money go mean. So the next thing I would do is, once I realize where my money is, once I've got my basics covered, I would definitely live below my means. That is the secret, and that is the most flawed and disregarded concept in the salons. You know, I would like to make sure that people remember that, yeah, you should look trendy. We sell fashion. We sell what's happening. But you do not have to change that every day and have it be very expensive to gain a clientele. The reason you want to look good is to make money and to have clients. And it's not to impress the other salon people about how cool your boots are. Well, fine, but not everything. Just wear something professional. The biggest and best invention was for us to wear black. My closet is all black. So a black tops on the top, bottoms on the bottom. I just go for one on each side. I put them on and I'm ready to go. So live below your means. Don't try to call attention to your business by the way we look. I think there's a little insecurity there with a lot of my fellow professionals. I mean, you don't need to. You know how you need to do an great customer service. You need to do an awesome consultation. And you need to be a good team player. That's how you're going to make money. If you're wearing yesterday's outfit or today's. That's the second thing.
That's great, Carlos. So what about starting to save, and what's an easy way to make saving automatic?
Yeah. Well, in order for you to save, you're going to learn to say one thing in my courses, and I'm going to ask whoever is with me on the course to repeat it and to say it out loud. I can't afford that. We all have to learn to say that. Now, notice that I didn't say I don't have the money for that. I said I can't afford that, because you could very well have the money, but you just choose not to spend it on a dinner at the most expensive restaurant because all of your buddies are going, or put it on a credit card to go to 2 weeks to Costa Rica. I would love to do that. And the fact that people say, I can't afford it, doesn't mean that they don't have the money. It means that they know where they want to spend it. So I think that's very important that people understand that. So once you start doing a little bit of that with your money, you're going to have a savings account. And everybody probably viewing this has a forgotten savings account, or one that goes to $100 and flushes out by the end of the month. And before I worked with a coach, I really was doing the same thing, and every once in a while I'd take $300 and put them all in savings, and then, I'm going to take them out. So the thing you do, there's two things to help you save. One, you've got to automate your savings. It's got to be done seamlessly by the bank. Go online and do that little transfer thing. You want to transfer every Saturday or every $50, $20, or your tips, whatever. But it's got to be done. It can't be done by you. It's got to be done seamlessly all the time, all the time, all the time.
Yeah.
And then at another time, and I'm going to let you, and I'm going to suggest that we speak about apps, because I discovered apps that help you save, that are remarkable, that are, I don't want to recommend them here, but I will probably in the course have links to apps. That means that you can actually be sleeping and saving money. There's apps that round off everything you spend to the nearest dollar and send it to a bill. But probably to wrap up what we're doing here, and it really is a state of mind. And you start getting the train on the tracks one tiny step at a time by understanding that, you know, you don't have to be living paycheck to paycheck. You can save money. You do work hard. And that there's a difference between being rich as far as flush and building wealth. We'll do that at another time.
Oh, Carlos, this is great. I mean, just right, you know, starting off with live below your means, learn to say I can't afford that, you know, open an account and make it automatic. Do that direct deposit. Those are some things to start out. We don't want to throw out a lot of, you know, financial terms that will make us
understand.
all right. Well, and that makes everybody feel a little overwhelmed. But
No.
those are things that you can do right away. And thanks to Larry, you are
Famous now.
yes, yes, and you are able to share, you know, share with us what worked for you with the Thrifty Cosmetologist and your financial coaching. So, as I said, when this is live, people will be able to email you. Do you want to shout out your email right now, Carlos?
Yes, it's carvalle45. It's at gmail.com. So you'll be able to see it in the link. It would be
Absolutely.
easier for you because I've got such a weird name for most people that don't speak Spanish. They have a hard time with it. So usually they call me Venezuela, like the country. But
Well, we will make sure to put the correct email in, and Carlos, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for sharing this time with us and for this very generous offer. And we'll do follow up because I need to know about those apps. So
we need to know about those apps, and I would love to be able to hear to share some success stories, of course, anonymously, of people that actually did get the right thing going here.
that would be great. That will be our follow up. Well, Carlos, wonderful to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.
You too.